Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up the USA view. How Donald Trump is changing how LGBTQ community and America speak and act. Donald Trump's words and actions have reshaped public discourse and emboldened harmful behaviors across the country. Friday's Oval Office heated exchange between Ukraine's President Zelenskyy and President Trump and Vice President Vance. Zelenskyy was shamed for not wearing a suit and being asked if the president even owned one. Experts warned that his rhetoric encourages a culture of cruelty, particularly against marginalized communities, including LGBTQ people. While Trump initially campaigned on reducing the cost of living and targeting violent immigrants, much of his focus has been on dismantling protections for vulnerable groups. From rolling back LGBTQ rights to attacking political opponents with demeaning nicknames, his leadership style thrives on humiliation and division. Mental health professionals are sounding alarms on what we will see from the American community against the LGBTQ community, highlighting his behavior as sadistic. In the dangerous case of Donald Trump, 27 experts assessed the psychological risks he poses, suggesting he needs treatment rather than power. Social learning theory, developed by psychologist Albert Bandura, explains how people, especially youth, adopt behaviors by observing influential figures. Bandura's famous Bobo Doll demonstrated that children exposed to aggression modeled by adults were more likely to act aggressively themselves. Trump's behavior mirrors this effect. By openly mocking and degrading others, he legitimizes cruelty, fostering a more hostile society. As one high school student put it, quote, "If anyone in my school acted like Trump, they'd be expelled," end quote. LGBTQ and other minority activists have noted that the second term has so far looked nothing like his first term in 2016. He is only 45 days into the new term, and this is near universal agreement that the dramatic changes seen are unlike anything ever experienced from an American president before. But resistance is growing. Yesterday, the Ukraine president met with European leaders in an emergency meeting in London. When Zelenskyy arrived at 10 Downing Street, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, made an obvious point to come into the street, walk up to Zelenskyy, and passionately hug him. He commented later it was an intentional signal as a response to the berating that took place in the Oval Office. By speaking out against Trump's divisive actions, advocates, educators, and everyday Americans are modeling integrity and respect. In doing so, they counteract his influence, striving to reclaim a nation built on justice and equality. What we are watching from the president will have significant effects on the entire LGBTQ plus community and everyone else, I think. Trump is the ultimate bully. He has shown us that, the last time he was in the presidency, he's doing the same now. It's just elevated to such a higher degree that it's so scary, right? To see Zelenskyy berated and treated like that, there was no kind of welcoming. There was no kind of grace. There was no, asking him if he's even said thank you and asking him if he had a suit. Like, it was just like there was no respect in the Oval Office. And that's how they treat leaders of other countries. What do you expect they're going to treat us like? My best friend Michelle is an incredible straight ally, right? And we were talking yesterday because I want her to get married so bad. Gay boys out there, if you have a straight brother, please reach out to me. She's been having a lot of issues in the sites because a lot of the dating sites, the straight dating sites, the boys are putting conservative, right? As in Trumper. Okay, or they're putting moderate as in Trumper. And then their first lines are, "I'm not here to fix your credit or even pay for your first meal." The misogyny is real. Yep. And it's coming from the top. Men that maybe before were like, oh, you got to treat a woman right because I was raised by a woman that, had taught me how to treat a woman with respect, are being shown different lessons from our freaking president and are listening to him, thinking if the higher ups can treat people like this, then I can treat people like this too. He's making bullying okay.
But it's not even just women; it's other men, other people, human beings.
Marginalized communities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Respect for everybody needs to be there.
Yep. This is just the classic bully in the sandbox. I think about when I was younger and when I was first bullied by somebody larger than me and a community around him also, attacking me just for being different, let's just say. And so, it really kind of lit like a fire because I stood my ground and I stood there and I took it. And I didn't know if just hearing the words and just being mocked at and what did anything for me back then. But today it resonates with me. So I think, these are the beginnings of the protests that we're going to be starting to see from individual leaders and individual people walking up and just, take your best shot. And I think that I'm inspired by it, and I'm inspired by people that don't take that crap and take the high road and organize these protests that we're going to start seeing. We recently saw it locally at Tesla, a group of people starting to get together because they just can't,
they can't do nothing.
Exactly. So I think we're going to see more of that and people coming to the defense of President Zelenskyy and stuff because people identify with that.
Yeah.
I think what it exposes is how synth these men are that are around him. Because when you have a guy like Trump, he only thrives if the men around him are little lapdogs. He can't take that kind of opposition.
Yes.
So the fact that all of them know what he's doing is wrong and they're going along with it
and
anyways
support him.
show that they
Marco
have no
Rubio.
backbone and that they're the wimps. And I wrote a piece on how it's really women, the Republican women, who have shown the most courage. It's Liz Cheney who led the rebellion against him. A woman, a Republican woman, conservative woman, other women that have voted against at least one of his, Pete Hegseth was Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins. It's the women that are standing up. And so it's really important. I said something like, instead of saying, grow some balls, maybe we should say grow some ovaries because, I'm really proud of the women, and I think they're showing, ironically, that in this kind of male testosterone, that they're the weak ones. So I think that real men need to grow a pair, stop calling him daddy. Anybody who refers to Donald Trump as dad's here, you're just exposing yourself as a freaking sissy.
But did you see, if you looked at the Oval Office when they were berating Zelenskyy, you can tell that Vance was prepped beforehand. So those mother effers were at a corner saying, okay, this is how we're going to gang up on him. And you're going to say this. You know what I mean? Like, how petty.
And what a simp this dude is, because he knows that as the vice president, he should have more power and more say. And I don't think he was expecting that Musk was actually going to steal all his limelight. So he's like, oh, this is my moment. This is my moment. Let me show that I'm a strong guy. Yeah. And the dude that asked about the suit, I had to look him up. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, so that explains a lot then.
Yeah, who somehow got his press credential in order to be there. Reuters, the Associated Press couldn't be there, but one of the Russian state media was there live streaming. And today, they just, I think, announced while I was driving here that they are, Trump ordered Hegseth to now dismantle anything, or he calls it a pause, on investigating anything with Russia and cyber terrorism, even though we know that they interfered.
But if you want to talk about his clothes, I'm sorry, Zelensky's outfit was more relatable to most people. He doesn't have to be in a suit to be professional. Let the guy speak. Both Trump and Vance attacked him.
Yeah.
It was just an attack. It wasn't a conversation. It was just a guy there.
Yeah.
2 against 1.
And did Musk look like Run DMC when he was giving his? And then nobody said anything about that. And I think Zelenskyy started dressing that way once the war started.
Exactly, he
because
did.
It was a show of like, I'm not going to be here in a costume when my people are dying.
Exactly, and that's exactly.
And you can dress any old pig in designer suit, anything you want, but it's still a pig.
Yeah.
I will have to say, I look at it as, how he was received once he left the Oval Office, where they came up and they embraced him and hugged him, to show respect.
In the UK, yeah.
Right. And it's a matter of, and I look at us as LGBTQ people and go, we need to rise above and do the same. Don't get pulled into the fire. Because if we get pulled into it and we want to fight back in the way that he wants us to fight back, we won't win that battle. We've got to find a different way to do that. And that's with a little bit of integrity that we all know we have.
Yeah.
But as you were saying, they need, they should take a different approach. They should have talked to him, because there's difference in attacking versus
Right.
having
A conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah.
You don't need to agree, but you have a conversation and you act respectful
Right.
Yeah.
to everybody at the table. That's how
Because
you
the
win.
purpose of that was to show Putin he's on his side. I am sure he had a conversation with him, like, watch what we're going to do tonight,
Watch this.
today at 3 p.m. to show you what we're going to do. It had nothing to do with trying to broker a peace.
Yeah.
At all. So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.